It's Monday night. It's 8 p.m. YouTube, Facebook Live. How about y'all both? Dialogue with Dozy. We're on. Hey, Hot Button Monday tonight. Hope to have KB hop in the house sometime soon tonight. We're going to do some serious stuff tonight. Ultra serious. I don't use the language, but some stuff just got real. And you can put the ish word in there if you want to do that. Just got real. We're going to do that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do some... and then we're going to come back and do got a lot of things going on. And we're going to hopefully get to some sports somewhere on the other side of the break. But a lot of hot button stuff going on. Like, guys, we're living in some very perilous times. Very perilous times. But before we start tonight's show, we want to I can't even get the word out I'm trying to do. We want to dedicate tonight's show to two entities. One were the 4 souls that perished on last Thursday in Georgia. 2 teachers and 2 young people who were killed senselessly, mercilessly, and ridiculously because of the laws of our land. And another school shooting, we lost four lives on last Thursday in Georgia, and we want to take the time out, the dialogue, to dedicate tonight's show where we're going to talk about that topic a little bit tonight. We also want to dedicate tonight's show to an icon in the entertainment business in the African American community. Not just an icon, his voice was just known all over the world. His acting was superb, but he also was an activist in his own way in our community. And that's to our dear brother, Mr. James Earl Jones, who left us a little earlier today. The dialogue loves and salute the 5 of you all today. And hopefully and prayerfully, our efforts tonight will give honor to the legacy of your lives and to the legacy of those 2 young souls, those 2 young lives that were taken from us. I won't say gone too soon because that's God's decision, but I'll say taken unnecessarily from us and those 2 lives of those who were trying to protect them. So tonight we're going to get right into the shooting, and I hope to have KV on with me at some point to discuss the shooting. I wanted him on beginning. How many times will we have to have a show? I know when we were getting ready to do one of these shows a year or 2 ago about the senseless shootings in America, the what they call them, the mass shootings, and our promo poster had photos of AR-15s, and Facebook deleted them, would not show them. That should say something to somebody right then and there, that these weapons are more than just something cute to display in your house, more than you need to protect your family, absolutely more than anybody would ever need in hunting. I was talking to some hunters today, and they were saying if you were to shoot a target with something like that, it would basically disintegrate an animal. A lot of people do deer hunting as a sport, and you've seen the heads of deers in people's houses. Being a non-hunter, being a non-gun lover, that's almost offensive to me. But for those who do, okay, if it's legal in your state, that's fine. But these weapons of mass destruction, these AR-15s that are used on the battlefields, they belong somewhere in Vietnam or on the battle in Afghanistan during the fighting there, not in domestic homes. And they were saying that they would disintegrate an animal that you would want to display on you as a trophy catch as a hunter. And so I'm baffled beyond response. I'm ashamed. This along with racism, misogyny, and several other fallacies of this nation. These are the things that make it embarrassing for me to call myself an American. When you know the causes of them, and we know it's economics. One political party, and I'll spell them out: the Republican Party. You cannot get one vote in the Senate to vote against banning these weapons because they are in the I won't use the analogy, but they are owned by the National Rifle Association. That is the only explanation. There's no other explanation. I kind of was hoping to get Kim on before I got into the crux of this argument, but it is just absolutely pathetic. It's saddening. 2 young lives. I work with young people. I'm blessed to work with young people. Retired as a teacher. I've been coaching high school football for now the last 18 years. Blessed to work with young people. I look at that as an honor and a treat to be able to have some opportunity to pour some whatever I'm able to pour. I'll never go down as Vince Lombardi. I'll do my best as coaching them, but there's some other qualities that hopefully I can help to instill or bring out of these young men, the young ladies that we work with, and to see young high school students taken from us is just it's saddening beyond thought. All of our children are, of course, grown and out of the house, and now we have grandchildren, their children that we have to worry about. I spent the weekend asking all 3 of my children that are the schools that their children are in, and some of them at different schools. Are they safe? Do they have adequate security? Are they doing like schools down here are? Do they have not lie detectors? Do they have metal detectors as you enter the door? It is just that pathetic. We were living up in the Chicagoland area or outside of the Chicagoland area, and we knew that they were using metal detectors way back then, but it was for a different reason. It wasn't for mass shooting. It was for the gang violence and the weapons that could be brought on campus. But I come down here, and unfortunately, we endure. It hits home at Parkland, at Stroman Douglas High School, the school that we had just played in November. And I shook the hand of the athletic director and one of the coaches. Both of them were killed in that massacre. I remember that Valentine's Day night in 2018 as though it was yesterday. So it hit home. And then it hit home again today after all of the mass shootings that have happened in Uvalde, the ones that have occurred since then. And then yesterday, anybody affiliated, coaches or teachers, anybody affiliated with school district, parents started getting all of these text messages. And of course, the local newspapers start sending out text blasts about the threat of 11 schools that were identified, that a young person went on social media in Broward County on Saturday and identified 11 schools and said at 11 a.m. on this Monday morning, one of those schools was targeted to be a victim of a mass shooting. Thankfully, between the Broward County School Police and the Broward County Sheriff's Office and several municipalities, the person that they thought was behind that social media posting was arrested, and it was a young person. And sadly, where this does not matter, because there's just some things I'm hoping that people that look like me won't give over to. But excuse me, sadly, this was allegedly, they're saying this person that was arrested was a young juvenile black female. And hopefully and prayerfully that won't come to this side of the tracks. But we hope that that's just something that will be cut out. The vice presidential candidate, we'll talk about him a little later. J.D. Vance made a statement. I wouldn't even give it air and post it today. It would not do honor to those 4 lives that were lost. Or we dedicated the night show to James Earl Jones also. It would not do honor to him to post him saying this. But it was something to the effect of, it's a fact of life. It's a fact of life. And he went on to say that psychos use schools as a soft target. It's not the guns that's killing people. He's insinuating that he used the term psychos. That is more than highly offensive to me. It almost brings me to rage to even hear this, because this is what I'm thinking about. When I think about Las Vegas, the shooting that took 56 lives, when I think about Parkland, where 18 lives were taken, when I think about these 4 people that died the other day, when I think about Newtown, those innocent elementary school, and that hits home because I was an elementary school teacher, all those lives were taken from us. And when an idiot makes a statement like that, yeah, forgive me, I'm going to use that language. When he makes a statement like that, it's not the guns, it's psychos. Well, for a psycho to make a comment like that, I would like for them to consider that from a elevated motel room in Las Vegas to kill 56 people at a country music concert several years ago, that person did not use knives, and that psych, using his language, that psycho did not use knives to throw at people and hit 56 people. He did not come down from his motel room and do karate moves that took the lives of people. He did not put chokeholds. He used a firearm, and not just any firearm. He used a firearm that's used in combat, not used by police forces, not used by SWAT teams, but used in combat. And he refers to, he says it's not guns, but it's psychos. So I just want you to just think about that one for a minute and kind of let that sink in. I'm just, again, President Obama, you saw him get quite emotional during his term in office because of that shooting in Connecticut, Newtown. You saw President Biden, who is the consoler in chief, if there ever was one in this nation, address those families in Uvalde, because they feel helpless. They feel helpless that this could have been avoided, because weapons of war were used in both of those shootings, and the shooting here and all of the mass shootings that we've talked about of late. When we did the show with Kim a few years ago, we talked about every weapon. I have a Facebook, and I'll call him a friend. I met him through my brother. We have vastly different views on ideologies, on politics, on culture, on a lot of things. The only thing we agree on is our spirituality. Sometimes I wonder how it translates into some of the views that's espoused. He probably thinks the same thing about me, but I'd be always willing to debate the virtue of my views. The justification, this person said on a Facebook post to me, and since we've started the dialogue, I have been very restrained in my postings on social media. I'm neutral at best. I try to stay away from them in totality. But when I do go out, it takes every ember of restraint in me not to just get into an all-out debate with somebody. When you tell me, so I heard one person responded that the night of the shooting Thursday, I said, please tell me why anybody would need an AR-15 in their home. And this person came back and said to protect us from robbers. Well, I heard the code word. I heard the dog whistle. I knew what that meant. It was to protect you from us, from people who look like me. We're the bad guys who are going to come in, break into your home, rob you, rape your children, rape your wives, and all of that stuff. I got all of that. So that's another part of it. But just to insinuate, to even put out there that you need that kind of weapon to protect your home is beyond my intelligence level. You can't get by even there's no excuse you can use by telling me that foolishness. So if I seem overly irritated, I am. I really am. And today, when I went to football practice, and it has been a different level of. We've gone through a principal change, but I don't think that was the cause of it. I think the district just has made a conscientious effort that we won't have another mass shooting in our districts, i.e., and hats off to the superintendent of the new superintendent of schools who came in with the idea of metal detectors at the doors. And I mean, as an educator, as a parent, it's horrible to think that that's what we have to do. That's what we have to have in our schools. It's not a good look. People come there with open minds to educate, be educated, and those kinds of things. And the first thing you see is something that you will find in a jail, a prison, or now airports and those kinds of places. That it is, but I understand it because it's vitally needed. So today when I went to school, all of the gates were secure, and the assistant principals were out even as late as our football practice at 4:30, usually when their days are over in the high school level, and they were just making sure that the security had locked the gates, that the gates were locked, and nobody was getting in those gates except people like myself who had a legitimate reason to be inside of the campus. Somebody came to me who was a little frustrated about the extra layer of security and said, what are they, flow showing? Anybody can jump a fence. Yeah, but if you're going to jump a fence carrying a lone weapon, at least somebody has a better chance of seeing you than you just walking through a gate or driving through a gate. So hats off to our school district and other school districts. And also hats off to the school district in Georgia, because of the device that they use. And hopefully that's something that all teachers are being equipped with, that have this device that they mash now so that it can tell the resource officer on campus or somewhere that they can, it can be told exactly where that shooter is in that building, or they have a better chance of getting to them. And it's a shame that as a parent, you're not just worrying that your child is going to learn some words that they shouldn't say, or maybe get a jump on life about the birds and the bees and that kind of thing in school. Now you got to be praying that they come home without being a victim of a mass shooter. And of course, it's not just the schools. We know that. We know it's not just the schools. We know that also it's there. Any public place, any public place is a possible forum for, and granted, mental illness probably does contribute to it. But my goodness, if a mentally ill person does not have a gun, they're not going to take the massive lives that these guns have taken. These mentally ill people are not chopping people with lethal judo chops. They're not putting their arms around people's necks, massive numbers of people, and choking them till they can't breathe any longer. They're using weapons of war, not even guns that you would use normally to protect your homes with. They're using weapons of war. Now, speaking of that, the shooting in Georgia, we haven't even begun to address the shooting in Kentucky yet. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Tyreek Hill situation. We're going to have some video. We're going to talk about the craziness of these governors who are trying to suppress democracy using Gestapo methods. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Hopefully, when we get to the other side of the hour after the break, hopefully we're going to be able to do something fun, talk some sports, talk some NFL, talk some college football, talk some culture, do some things like that. But for right now, this is an imminent thing in our communities, and it hit us 6 years ago. It hit Newtown 20 years ago or 16 years ago, It hit Uvalde 4 years ago. Your town could be next. Anywhere can be next. So we're just going to talk about this. Now, when I first heard that the killer, I want to refer to him as a young man. No, he's a killer. I would refer to him as a coward. If you want to give him the label of being mentally ill, well, heck, you've been mentally ill all this time. Why did you not pick up a gun and kill somebody? But this killer's, I'm not going to even use the term alleged, because they're witnesses to what he did. And there's technology to what he did. But when I learned on Friday that his dad had been arrested because of him having the firearm, I was initially saddened, because I was thinking, and of course, our house made sure as I grew up, well, it was a different story when we grew up, we knew better than to touch something that was off hands. My parents didn't drink, but if they did, we knew not to look at an alcohol bottle. Thankfully, we didn't have to grow up with that as an issue. But my dad worked with the Duval County Sheriff's Office, so he did have a firearm. But we knew you didn't have to put a lock on it. You'd have to put it out of reach. We knew better than to even think about looking at it, because parents didn't allow that in our time growing up. When I heard that this boy's father was arrested, I felt really bad, because I said, wow, he's suffering because of a stupid thing or thing that he was led through mental illness or whatever to do. He's going to pay a serious consequence. But when I learned that he actually bought this AR-15 for him within this year, knowing that last year, law enforcement officers, including those from the FBI and ATF, along with local authorities, questioned he and the boy about an alleged post on social media that's posted through some game, video game that he plays. I'm like, oh my goodness, whatever he gets, he well deserves it, because some father will never be able to hug his son again. Some father will never be able to put his arm around his daughter. Some wife will never be able to hug her husband. Some young lady won't have her dad there when she marries. Some man is without his wife now, because you give an AR-15. Thank you for that. Yeah, it is sad. You give an AR-15 to a boy that federal law enforcement officers came to your house to question you about. And all you can do is give the excuse that you and your wife broke up and it was traumatic for the boy. Well, looks to me like it was traumatic for your dad, for your boy. Then that would have been an extra layer of protection that you would have put up, instead of you giving law enforcement, you basically blowing them off. And so you move to another city, and that's another issue. How could he move to another city? How could you move to another city and something that serious not follow him in his folder or through his school, or law enforcement not be notified? This kid should have almost had surveillance on him for a period of time. And I can't say that I know that they didn't, but there's no way he should have been able to walk into a school with an AR-15 less than a year after making a threat like that. So again, hats off to Broward County Public Schools, Broward County Sheriff's Office for going overboard, and yes, charging the felony to the juvenile. If it was a juvenile, this is what we're hearing, has not been confirmed. Hats off to you for taking that action. But Dad, maybe you'll get to hang out with your son in jail for the rest of both of y'all's lives. And you're talking to the guy who is most sympathetic towards incarcerated people. Pray for him every Sunday. Throughout my daily prayers, I pray for him. But for lives that have been taken so senselessly, you got to pay for that one, bro. Both of y'all got to pay for that one. And if it had been down here in this state, you would have paid for it with your life. I want to move on and kind of lighten it up, because I get very passionate about this issue, because I'm mad on the one level, to those that perpetrate it, and then I'm mad on the other. See, the mental illness, and I'm going to need to talk to some psychiatrists and let them walk me through this, so maybe I'll have a more informed point of view. But the funniest thing about these so-called people who are suffering from mental illness and do this, you don't hear about them taking on the people who bullied them. They just randomly kill people, innocent people. You don't hear about them going and taking revenge to people who bullied them. Mac, I got you, man. The Ritterhouse effect. Tell us more about that, please. Help me with the research on that. Tell us a little bit about the Ritterhouse effect. You don't hear about that. You hear about them doing it like this, and it's very, like I say, most of my disgust goes to lawmakers. It makes America the greatest nation supposedly on the planet. It makes us look incredibly weak. This doesn't happen in Russia. The one time it happened, oh boy, that was swift retribution. Won't be seeing that anytime soon. It doesn't happen in Norway. It doesn't happen in England. It doesn't happen in dictator-led countries like Venezuela. You don't hear about it in democracies like Canada or Mexico, because they have serious gun laws for all you right-wing gun lovers. They have gun laws. And if you want to love your gun and sleep with your gun and hug your gun better not get outside of that house. We've gone to the other end of it now. Yeah. So people that have this, Meg says that people who have a propensity, kids that have excuses that have been made for kids that show a propensity for mass killings, then those who are diagnosing them with them need to be able to make a case to the courts that these people need to be somewhere where they can be monitored. I'm as an African American in this country where freedoms are being tampered with daily. I'm not about taking people's freedoms and being placed in incarcerated states, but they sure need to be in a place where they are highly monitored. That's the very least. And for a parent to not take the responsible way out, but to basically be the one that led him with the gun, bruh, you gotta be kidding me. That's absolutely unbelievable. We're gonna go to break, and maybe I'll drink some water, suck on an ice cube or something and cool down. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about some other things. Tonight we were gonna talk, we're gonna do a video. We'll show that for the upcoming weeks and maybe we can do it when we can get him on. My good friend Harold Pearson, I think it was NPR, National Public Radio, just did an outstanding documentary on his recovery from having a heart replacement surgery 2 years ago. We've had him on the show, and they put out teasers for the documentary that's forthcoming. And I wanted to play that tonight, but I think I'm gonna hold off because I want to do it when he can get in and talk about the making of the documentary, and I want people to see just how he's back to his strong, big, bulked up self. He was a bodybuilder, and we want to get him on to talk about that. As opposed to just showing. We'll be right back after the break. So I say it every time. If anybody can make you look good, not saying I'm looking great, but I'm looking better than I normally would, because that's what the More Go Giga team will do for you. They will take all of your virtual needs, your virtual requests, your web building. They got you. They got you. The team of the Toyas and Marquez, They will make you look good. They will increase your brand. They will market you like you've never been marketed before. Check out, go to their website and let them tell you about the array of products that they have to make your brand one that the public will bite on right away. Well, go gigaworld.com. So tonight, while I'm hot, let me just go ahead and deal with this one. I haven't done it in a while, but go ahead and put his picture up on the screen and give him the full thing. Yeah, that guy, J.D. Vance. He is the poster boy for buyer's remorse. If you ever thought that there was anyone that could come across more buffoonish, more of a clown, he's not a bully anymore. He's just he takes the term idiocracy to a higher dimension. Donald Trump, it's this guy that he selected his vice presidential candidate, John David Vance, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, in the aftermath of a mass shooting, jumps up and says that it's not guns, it's psychos. Are you serious? It's your party that votes en masse. You don't break rank. Every last one of you vote to bow down to the altar of the NRA. J.D. Vance, how unserious can you be? How insensitive could you be? The same day that 4 people lost their lives to an unnecessary act of gun violence. Are you serious? You know, I've been wanting to do a show, and we kind of hinting around with it and ask, how could anybody support this ticket? Idiot 1 and Idiot 2. This guy takes it to the other level. The albino genius, Mike Pence, at least he had enough sense to withdraw, to make a separation, a line of demarcation on January the 6th, and afterwards say that he couldn't support this guy. You try to out-Trump him. At least DeSantis has something going for him. J.D. Vance, you are pathetic. Are you serious? And then he follows it up on the issue of child care. He says, can't grandparents fill in and help people? No. Why can't you and your party be sensitive to middle-class people? And that's something else I never get about your party. Are you serious? Most of them are made up by people who live paycheck to paycheck, lower income people, but yet they vote for idiots who only look out for the upper class. You've heard me use that language more than you'll ever hear it. Are you serious? I've been wanting to say to all of you who support that team, are you serious? How can you? What are you thinking? He's saying grandparents should fill in so I can go and work at McDonald's because you can't come up with a plan or a bill. All you can do is when your opponent proposes a plan, all you can do is come up with nonsensical juvenile names like calling her Comrade Kamala and those kinds of things. Are you serious? Donald Trump, are you serious? Picking this clown for a running mate. Republicans, are you serious that you didn't get a recall on him? Get him off the screen. I can't deal with him anymore. Are you serious? So, before I'm really trying to give, if he has opportunity, I'm trying to give Kim an opportunity to join me before we go to the next subject, and that is what has been dominated the news cycle in South Florida. Of course, the school situation, and again, hats off to the Broward Sheriff's Office and the Broward Public Schools, SIU, they call it the police force down here for the school districts, for finding the person that allegedly made those threats. And I know a lot of parents kept their children home today. I know some rank and file of the school personnel stayed home today, and I can't say that I blame you. But thank you for making some attempt to neutralize that. So hopefully we'll see Kim in a few minutes. But let me just tell you about the other latest things that's happening with that party. When I say our freedoms are really on the line, they're really on the line. Now, you have never heard me voice an opinion about abortion. We're going to do a show on it at some point, and I want to wait until after the election because I don't want it to have any smell of politics to it. I want to approach it from a moral issue. So I don't want to deal with that until after this election because it's a major part of it. But in the state of Florida and several other states, and there have been some states, and most of them red states, where it was put to the ballot, and when put to the ballot, it was handily voted down, meaning that the people, including the same people who would vote for this clown and buffoonish ticket, have said, we don't agree with you touching our quote unquote reproductive freedoms. Okay, that's not my argument, but this is in this state, is my mentor would say, in the great state of Florida, and its great governor, and I say that most sarcastically, they have now empowered the I forget what he calls the integrity police unit, that unit that has been sent out to bully voters, and they arrested people last year who were legally able to vote, but they only arrested them so that it would make news and it would scare off other people. Let me tell you all again, returning citizens or returned citizens, if your record does not include a murder conviction or a sexual battery conviction in the state of Florida, you're able to register. I know what the ballot says. Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been convicted of a felony? You can check that and still register to vote because that's only to deter you. That's all they're doing. What they're doing now is the ballot. I believe it's Amendment 4. There are going to be several crucial amendments in the state of Florida this year, but one of them is the ballot for one of them is going to be the ballot for marijuana, and that has some underlying things. We'll talk about that maybe next week when we get some of the democracy people on here. And then, but the big thing, the national attention getter is, and you can tell it's big because DeSantis and his group have brought in big money people, and we're now beginning to see the ads on TV that are trying to come against the marijuana initiative and also against the initiative for abortion. Okay, but here's what they're doing: the police integrity unit is now going out for people who went around walking the petition to get that on the ballot. And it is on the ballot. It's going to be voted in. It's going to be voted, rather. It's going to be on the ballot for a vote. We know that our governor, at the crack of midnight, signed into law a 6-week abortion ban. He didn't have the guts to do it in the heart of the day when the news cycle was out. Now they are going around intimidating and harassing people who took the petition around, that got people to sign and get enough signatures that it's on the statewide ballot in Florida. That's happening in the great state of Florida. In the state of Texas and Arkansas, where there is a concerted effort to register Hispanic voters, Latino voters, both states, from the governor's offices in both states, they're sending people out in whatever they call their police integrity harassment unit. They're sending those people out to harass those people who are now going around registering voters, with the target being at Latino voters. I'm telling you, this is happening in the great state of Florida. We've seen all of the crazy election suppression efforts, and now they're trying to come in. So when you talk about Project 2025, you really better look carefully, and you better know what party supports that, no matter what the nominee says and which doesn't. My brother's on. We're going to talk more about that in the upcoming week. Next week, in fact, we're going to go back over to Project 2025 with a young lady who has done all of the objective research on it, and we're going to have also Dr. LaVon Bracey, who's going to talk about National Voter Registration Day, which will be next Tuesday. So that's going to be next week's show. You want to join us, and we're going to talk about that. And I want to invite you. If you support Project 2025, come on and talk about it. We'll be glad to have you. I'm sure they're going to tear you up, but come on if you got the guts to do it. KV, what's up, man? Okay, while we're working with that, let me just talk a little bit more about this disgusting what we're hearing that is occurring now with this election. To all my brothers and sisters, I want to repeat to you, and I can take you to the law. Do not be intimidated by what the ballot says when asked, "Are you a convicted felon?" Don't let that Republicans fought long and hard to put that on the registration form so that many people would back away when they saw that. You could easily check it. When DeSantis was voted governor, it was voted that returning citizens in this state could, in fact, it was an initiative, a referendum initiative that the people of the state of Florida said yes. They did go back before his re-election and they held off because they got an injunction from the court saying that if people have outstanding fines or if they've not paid off all of their fees, and there's a corporation in the state of Florida that will help you. I can tell you right now, and we'll talk about those next week, that can pay you up to $2,000 and can refer you to other, if your fines and fees exceed that, to help you. But that felony does not prevent you from voting in the state of Florida. And there's nothing they can do but harass you. And I would think that enough harassment would start some class action lawsuits, which I hope these people who got the petition around the state did. I don't know if we got KV on or not. I'm really hesitant to deal with this because he has helped me do some groundwork on that. But in just a second, hopefully, let's see, check out what we need. Okay. I'm trying to see if we can go ahead and move to the next topic. If not, I'll put that on hold and we can come back to it. We know one of the things, so let me just tell you, I was torn. I'm from Jacksonville. Now everybody who knows me knows I'm originally a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I love me some Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to always go with my hometown Jags. I'm going to love me some Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the Dolphins were my second team that I ever liked as a young man. Coming up. So let's see. Okay. All right. We're trying to wait on Kim. But so yesterday, I said say this on yesterday. What I said was I was going to sit back and watch the Jags and the Dolphins play, and I was going to organically see where my sentiments lay. I was with Kim when Golden State came and played the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat didn't have all of their players, and they had pretty much secured their playoff position, and I'm glad Kim came. I was during a period I was going through, antagonizing illness and been in bed for a couple of weeks, and he kind of helped me to just get up and go down there. Then he called me a turncoat because I sided with the beloved Golden State Warriors. We're trying to get them in the playoffs at the time. Well, you call me a turncoat, but hey, yesterday said I'm just and I guess I'm gonna just tell you, my sentiments ended up being with the Dolphins. It ended up being with the Dolphins. I was asleep on most of the first half, but I woke up and saw them down, and I was like, wow. Well, go ahead, Jacksonville, do what you got to do. Then I saw Jacksonville was not ready to seal the deal. They couldn't put the game away. They kept making mistakes, and then their offense went to sleep. So two of them boys were moving, and of course, there was a little thing in my heart about what had happened earlier to the Cheetah, and that was an objective feeling towards what happened. But so I just kind of ended up, cheering them on the victory there yesterday. So the Jags will make that game up, and they'll be all right. They just got to stay ahead of that team out in Houston, those Texans. That's a real team. That team is not just they're not just there. They're going to be a team to be dealt with in the future. So the Jags are just going to have to play ball and respond. I really wanted to talk about the Tyreek Hill incident, but if we have to save it for next week, I will. Right before I came on, right before I came. Oh, there he is. Okay, let's bring him up. KV, what's up, man? What's up, KV? I think he might be frozen. We're having a tough time here tonight. Okay. So we can get him unfrozen, and we'll get back at it again. So for you all who didn't know, and it made the national news. It was a national. When I came in from services yesterday, I wanted to sit down and see what was, the pregame shows. They were all dominated by two factors. Number one, that Tyreek Hill had been arrested, and he wasn't arrested. He had been detained, and they showed images of him, video of him face down. They show images of him face down with police surrounding him. So, hey, KB, what's up? KB, you there? Okay. Well, we won't quit. We'll hang in there. So they show images of him face down and handcuffed, and then the other show the other thing was that Dak Prescott had just signed the richest football contract in history while he was sitting ironically in his motel ready to start the game. KB, you there? Is he with us, or is that a frozen version of him? He's trying to get with us remotely. So we really didn't understand everything that was going on today. A lot more has surfaced, and we have a video. My brother had video. I had been looking at all of the news cycle and all of the local news, everything they were showing about that incident, and then a lot of video was surfacing, and a lot of witnesses were coming forth on the local news. And then today I got to see Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp and Molly and them talk about it on First Take. And let me just share that so that KB is able to make it on. I want him to talk about this video. So I'll hold the video until he comes, even if we have to do it at a later time. Okay, he's having issues trying to log into the program. So what happened was Tyreek was allegedly was stopped for speeding, and it appears from everything that I have seen, and just before we came on the air, I got a blast from the Sun Sentinel, which is the local Fort Lauderdale paper. Okay, we'll pick it up next week. We'll just give an intro to it tonight, Kim. From the local Fort Lauderdale paper, the hit and the video, because every video that fans showed, it showed Tyreek, it showed the police going up to his car after it had stopped, and the next thing they showed images of him, a video of him on the ground. Nobody showed video of how he got out, what led to it. Well, the body cam video was released by the Miami-Dade Metro Police Department today, and it has the audio and the video. And I'm going to save it for next week that Kim can come on, and we have to pre-do that part. We'll do that next week. By the time you would have been able to see it and form your own opinion. But what it looks like, what happened was that Tyreek was speeding. Unless you're able to use a speed gun and detect the speed and verify that he has gone above the speed limit. Most police officers will go and write a ticket for reckless driving. Now, when I was a policeman 900 years ago, reckless driving could lead to an actual arrest. I don't know if that is the case or not now, but they stopped him, attempted to get him out of the car, and he didn't like them hitting on his windows. He didn't curse or say anything out of the way, according to what I could hear on the video. But they eventually snatched him out of the car, took him to the ground, and while he was there, his teammate Calais Campbell the former Jaguar, who left Jacksonville about 4 or 5 years ago and did a stint in Baltimore, just came to the Dolphins this year, came by while he was on the ground and he stopped. And because he stopped to see what was going on and I highly applaud that, the policemen who were agitated said, basically was trying to get him to leave the area. And he said, I'm not leaving the area. They threatened to tow his car, say, you can tow my car, so you can take me to jail, but I'm not leaving the area. And Tyreek asked him, please don't leave me here. He said, I'm not going to leave you, bro. And he sat there and he watched him until they eventually worked it out that they got him up off the ground and took the handcuffs off. And I understand he was written 2 tickets and released. Reckless driving used to be an automatic court appearance also. So I don't know how that stands in the state of Florida now. But the video that I saw did show agitated policemen, and it did show questionable uses of force. One of the policemen involved in the incident is on administrative leave or desk duty, whatever they call it, where they take you off the street where you can't do any more damage or further tarnish to the department's image is what it boils down to, while they're quote unquote investigating the incident. One of 4 or 6 officers who were on the scene. We want to talk about that more next week when Kim is able to be here, and we'll hold that video for them. But you got to give the cheater a hats off that he didn't escalate the situation any further than it was, and that he did, in fact, have a good attitude about it. When he talked about it in the post game, and he raised some issues and say, listen, he said, man, I like police. I want to be a policeman. I'm friend with sheriffs. He says, but bro, what would have happened if it wouldn't have been Tyreek Hill? And I think that's what has everybody alarmed, and that's what got Stephen A. Smith. And I was really leaving out on his, but Stephen A. Smith and Shannon kind of were a little bit disagreement on that this morning. Shannon Sharp was saying that whenever he's going to have any encounter with a policeman, it's his sole responsibility, and this is what we learned from our father before we ever thought about being in law enforcement, is you want to get home. So it's yes, sir. You fully cooperate. You do everything. So you go home, that officer goes home, and hopefully without any possibilities of anything going south. And so Stephen A. just went to the further and said, yeah, I get that. I understand that. I'm a supporter of police, but why was he dealt with physically? And that's going to be the lingering issue. And maybe by next week when we come on, we'll have an answer to that question. Why was he? And he brought up the golfer, Scotty Scheffler, who had done a similar thing and who was actually taken to jail and handcuffed. But nobody ever put their hand. We saw in the video that we'll show next week, they put their hand behind his neck. They really handled him, and they were very abusive in talking to him. That was professionalism was out the door. I can't say that they abused him physically, but for the harassment and for the embarrassment and all of those things, we're going to see if that was at all what Tyreek's contribution was. I don't think that was deserved. I think Tyreek may have done some things, said some things, agitated officers by speeding in that area. And he's in that hot car, and he has basically a free zone where there's no traffic, no cars are coming. And but I don't want to pass judgment. We'll talk about it more next week when we know more about the situation, and we'll show the video at that point. Listen, you asked the question, why did it take Dak all of the offseason, all of training camp, and all the way up until just before they boarded the team bus from the motel to go play the game in Cleveland yesterday that they signed the contract? I heard Jerry Jones and Stephen A. talking about it on the Stephen A. Smith show. I was looking at it Saturday. That I don't know. But I do know right now he has signed the richest contract in the history of any pro football player. So we'll see how all of that works out. Some upset Saturday. Notre Dame, you almost take yourself out of the national picture in the way that you lost that game. It shouldn't have been that close. You fought a gallant Texas A&M team on opening week, and you showed where a Notre Dame team or a championship team would play. Saturday was just the opposite. Meanwhile, in Lincoln, Shedeur Sanders and Coach Prime, they were thoroughly beaten. Coach has not done an adequate enough job, and I love Deion. I love the work he's doing. Don't want to see anybody lose their job. But if the Gators lose their coach, lose their job, if that coach loses his job, Deion got to be in prime consideration. But he hadn't done enough work. He has not done enough work to build up that. Yeah, Jerry does love the headline, Mac. Yeah, I know you're a Cowboy fan. So, Mac, last year, when it looked like Kansas City was not going to make it, I know the Steelers didn't have enough firepower to get them over. The Dolphins were fading. The Jaguars were not looking like they were going to even make the playoffs. So I just thought I expanded I say I'm just going to be this football fan, and I've liked the Cowboys since Dak has been quarterback. So if they would have been there, I would have been happy. So I'm saying, why is this? He waited until the final week to sign CeeDee Lamb. Hey, he did it. I'm gonna leave it at that. He did it. He got it done. He signed him, and that's what I'm gonna leave it at. A lot of people were asking if we thought that they were asking if we thought that the Jerry is he going to support these players, or is he going to make them play a year and prove themselves? Well, I'll put it to y'all like this: Jerry ain't crazy. He knew he aborted a dynasty back in the 90s when his ego caused him to send Jimmy Johnson packing. And Jimmy Johnson never really had a passion for coaching football after he left that team that he built from the ground up. He came down to the Dolphins and inherited a good team, but his heart really wasn't in it. He had lost his mom while he was at the end of his reign with the Cowboys, and his good friend kind of betrayed him by showing him the door. And he never won but one more with the team that should have won maybe 5 or 6 championships. Yeah, so if his model, Mac, is if he drafts a player, he invests in them, and I kind of like that. I like the Zeke reclamation project. He's brought Zeke back. He's going to see what he can get out of Zeke. I think you're going to need a feature back. I agree with Stephen A. that you should have brought Derrick Henry on board. Heck, the Jags should have brought Derrick Henry on board. He and ETN in the backfield. You got a powerful backfield back there. But we're going to see what happens. The Eagles, they kind of proved. We had a game Friday night, but I caught the end of that game. They look like they're in for business. If they don't, that coach is gone with Belichick hanging in the wings, and I guarantee you he'll win with that talent that's in Philly. The Eagles, so the Cowboys are going to have to bring their A game. They got to win the big games this year. They can't just beat the teams that everybody else is beating. They got to beat some of the winning programs this year, and maybe we'll feel better about them going into the playoffs. Maybe they get that home field advantage, and it'll do them better than it did them last year. We covered a lot of stuff on the Nice Dialogue, a whole lot of stuff. That's why I wanted to make a hot button Monday. I had some show ideas and some people, but I said I want to just do this and cover this. Y'all, please, let's just, for people who believe in the power of prayer, let's pray that Congress, Washington, D.C., will care more about your son, your grandchild, my grandchild, my son and daughters, more about them than they will about the money that the NRA pays them to get reelected. Let's leave it at that. Next week's dialogue, Dr. LaVon Bracey and Ms. Linda from Faith in Florida will be on to talk about Project 2025 and to preview next Tuesday's National Voter Registration Day. Are you registered to vote? If not, I can hook you up. See you later. Dialogue with Dozy. We love you.